With just 6 more Wednesdays left in 2022, we shine the spotlight on Jamaica's efforts to keep the earth healthy through the protection of our watersheds. We'll also look at the island's participation in COP27, now taking place in Egypt. Already, we've reiterated our call for equitable access to financing for climate change. Continue to watch JIS to keep abreast of the outcomes of the conference. Welcome to another insightful Wednesday edition of Jamaica Magazine. We have so much for you to learn today, and I'm your host, Theodore Henry. You don't want to miss our interesting lineup. We'll be right back.
Wait a minute. We in a November, right?
Yeah.
So you don't realize, say, a youth month?
No, sir. Me never know.
Well, the Ministry of Education and Youth start celebrate Youth Month. And from when me here, them have a lot of activities planned for the young people them.
But me never hear nothing.
You soon hear something. Just pay attention to the announcements.
The planned activities under this year's theme, Reignited, Empowering Youth for Jamaica 60 and Beyond, will no doubt excite you, our young people.
For National Youth Month, students are being asked to participate in the panel discussions and a peace concert, a youth in business and entrepreneurship expo that was held on Saturday, November 5. Review of the national school policy set for November 9 and 16. And the Ponder Ends series making stops in various locations across the island. Later in the month, a church service will be hosted in recognition of Children's Day. A major highlight for the period is the 13th sitting of the National Youth Parliament, set for November 28. And the big event for Youth Month,
the Prime Minister's Youth Award for Excellence. Listen, young people, you are the change agents of today, and we're looking forward to your robust participation in national discourse and providing your perspectives on policies and initiatives.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, November 16, 2022. The Ministry of Finance and the Jamaica Civil Service Association, JCSA, have signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, giving effect to the restructuring of compensation in the public sector. According to a press release from the JCSA, the MOU reflects the latest changes arising from its consultations and will facilitate government's ability to pay the increased salaries in the shortest possible time. President of the JCSA, O'Neill Grant, says it's hoped that this will allow for the process to move on to Phase 2 of the restructuring exercise, which will deal with the job evaluations. The job evaluation phase will enable the fixing of compensation anomalies and any matters of misalignment uncovered during Phase 1 of the compensation restructuring. From this, public sector jobs are to be properly assessed to finalize their placement in the new 16-band compensation structure. Jamaica is set to welcome an increase in air traffic as the aviation sector continues to recover from the disruption caused by the pandemic, pointing out that prior to the pandemic, Jamaica's aviation traffic stood at 6.5 million passengers annually. Transport Minister Audley Shaw says those figures are projected to increase as more airlines enter or expand their service to the island.
Jamaica's recovery in aviation traffic continues to outpace other territories, having more flights from different airlines coming into our international airports on a regular basis. These airport advancements are providing travelers with the opportunity to save time and money to move across borders.
Minister Shaw was speaking on Monday at the welcome ceremony for Arajet Airlines' inaugural flight from Santo Domingo to the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston. Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Arajet, Victor Pacheco Mendez, says the airline is looking forward to the partnership.
It will only serve to the Jamaican people as a tool for the growth of tourism, for the growth of commerce, and as a platform for your entrepreneurs to be able to go and expand their visions and their businesses.
Meanwhile, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett is reporting success in the island's efforts to increase airline seats out of Canada, Jamaica's second-largest visitor market. The minister says Jamaica is expecting to see 283,000 airline seats out of Canada this winter tourist season, 26,000 more than was recorded in 2019. These are from major travel partners such as Air Canada Vacations, WestJet, Transat, and Sunwing. Minister Bartlett, who is currently on a working visit to Canada, gave the update in a press release yesterday. The minister and a team of senior tourism officials are engaging in a series of activities with airline partners and tour operators in Toronto, Calgary, Winnipeg, Montreal, and Ottawa. The visit is also being used to launch the JTB's new Come Back marketing campaign. Minister Bartlett says with added inventory coming in Jamaica and a new thrust in terms of the quality product and recognition of the value proposition that Jamaica offers, he's optimistic that in 2023-24 we will see a full recovery of the Canadian market. The ultimate goal is a return to 2010 levels. Government has welcomed the latest price reduction on the cost of fertilizer sold by Newport Forsan Jamaica Limited. The company announced a 2 to 11% price adjustment to its traditional standard NPK granular fertilizers last week, the third price cut in recent times. The adjustment will also be extended to its booster line of improved fertilizers, with new prices ranging from 3 to 14% lower than some traditional granular standard fertilizers. Agriculture Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says this will help farmers get back into production more quickly following recent adverse weather conditions. He is encouraging farmers to take advantage of the lower prices to boost production.
I urge our farmers and our fisherfolk to continue their present trajectory and to be reassured that the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries remains committed to our ongoing tireless efforts to support the sector, to support you and your families.
More than 20 firearms have been handed over to the authorities under the gun amnesty, which is now in effect. The amnesty began on November 5 and is slated to end at midnight on Saturday, November 19. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang provided an update during a press conference on Tuesday, where states of public emergency were declared in several parishes and police divisions. Minister Chang says many of the firearms are from individuals who have not licensed the weapons for several years. The amnesty precedes the implementation of the new Firearms Act, which the minister says satisfies all the legal precedents and constitutional framework and will impose significant penalties ranging from 15 years to life imprisonment.
Intention is if you conduct criminal activity with a firearm, we are intent to remove you from society for life. Makes it easier for the police not to keep picking up the same person over and over, and it makes the community safer.
Firearms or ammunition may be surrendered to any sub-officer or senior sub-officer on duty at any police station or any designated officer at any location of the Firearm Licensing Authority. The illegal weapons may also be surrendered to an attorney at law on behalf of an individual seeking the amnesty. The attorney should then deliver the items to the nearest police station. And finally, Minister of Education and Youth Fable Williams is urging students to stay in school and embrace education in order to acquire the skills required to lead the life they desire. She made the appeal during the recent launch of Anti-Gang Week at the Filippo Baptist Church in Spanish Town.
Educated people earn more money than others who are not educated. It's just the truth of the matter. Embrace education rather than go down the other routes, because the other routes lead to shorter lifespan. We want our young people to choose the way that will guarantee that they live in peace and security in this country.
From now through November 19, there are several events planned for Anti-Gang Week. Minister Williams says the drive is to see a marked reduction in the prevalence of gangs and occurrences related to them in schools and in society at large. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The Wildlife Protection Act is a piece of legislation here in Jamaica. It was enacted in 1945 that tries to look at our animals or wildlife on the island of Jamaica and try to ensure that they are conserved to some degree and not overexploited. So There are also, as an island, we have a lot of unique species. And if we lose those species on the island, it's gone to the entire world. So that is also one of the reasons why we have this piece of legislation, to ensure that Jamaica can maintain its wildlife and preserve the wildlife for future generations. In the Jamaican context, being an island, being very small, some persons have never left the island before, and so Jamaica seems big, but Jamaica is really very small. We have a lot to lose. We have a lot of resources and we have a lot to lose. So we're encouraging the public not to over-harvest, not to go against the Wildlife Protection Act and take animals that are considered protected species. And if animals are in a vulnerable situation where you think they need assistance, we encourage persons to first contact NEPA at 754-7540 and ask for assistance, especially if those animals have the potential of doing harm or being dangerous.
This substance is a critical ingredient in the daily flow of life, from home to powering commerce. It's generated from a delicate supply which we must protect. In this next feature, we dig deeper to unearth the vital care needed for this resource.
Jamaica, the land of wood and water. Preserving the rich history of our island's natural bounty is centered on the core ideal of sustainability. So, with every precious drop of rainfall harvested into the beautiful canopy of the island, increasing the urgency to safeguard our water sources is everyone's responsibility. An area of land that allows for the drainage of rainwater into a common place like a pond or river is known as a watershed. Now, you may live near a river or drink the water from a bottle, but how much do you know about watersheds and their life-giving role? There are over 100 rivers making up Jamaica's watersheds. These rivers are critical resources to the ecosystem of the land, while empowering our economy. The National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA manages Jamaica's 26 watershed management units WMUs in partnership with key governmental agencies such as the Rural Agricultural Development Authority RADA, the Forestry Department, the Water Resources Authority and other partners. There is one major factor to note in the protection of watersheds, and it's the delicate balance of the communities who earn a living from these areas through agriculture.
So we try to take a bottom-up approach to watershed management. Now that will involve liaising with the communities, getting their inputs prior to going into any given watershed with any intervention. You have to do what we consider to be an assessment of the needs of the community, separate and apart from an assessment of the needs of the watershed prior to going in and doing our interventions.
This approach forms part of the integrated watershed and coastal area management model, which takes into consideration the community's views. Under the Watersheds Protection Act of 1963, watershed areas are declared and regulated to conserve the water resources, while allowing residents to gain from popular land economic activities such as farming.
You do have complementary acts that would speak to watershed management. So you have, for example, the RADA Act of 1990 that will allow for the use of extension services, which translate into watershed management as the use of sustainable land management practices with the farmers.
There are 7 other pieces of legislation that support the Major Watersheds Protection Act. Finding the balance between benefiting from the resources in watersheds and preventing its degradation is continuous work by the environmental authorities. In 2015, a $3.9 million Yalas Hope Watershed Restoration Project was launched as a joint initiative between the government and the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB). The Yalas and Hope River watershed supply 40% of the drinking water in the densely populated urban parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew.
We would have trained under that project over 5,000 farmers in sustainable land management. And then we would have also did quite a number of studies. We'd have done some replanting in the area. We'd have replanted over 500 hectares.
A major initiative from the Yalas Hope River Restoration Project was the use of a Payment for Ecosystem Services scheme, designed to give an incentive to farmers who rely less on the watersheds.
At the end of that project, we would have, through modeling, showed that we have seen a reduction in about 8% of sediments coming down out of that watershed, and that's a conservative estimate. It goes up to 17% when you factor in the interventions that were done by our partners in these watersheds.
NEPA also established a Yallas and Hope River Watershed Management Committee to ensure that these results continue. Jamaica's international ranking as a strong and actions-based drive of environmental protection is steadily growing. A Jamaican Path from Hills to Ocean project is the latest initiative to restore 3 major watersheds across the island in the next 5 years. The $1.05 billion Jamaican dollar project is a joint partnership between the government and the European Union, executed by the Planning Institute of Jamaica in support of NEPA and RADA.
So the rapid ecological assessment is expected to inform some of the project activities that will help with the RADA-led components in identifying some areas that will be prioritized for intervention, and those priority will be for trainings for farmers and other techniques that would help with the overall watershed management. The Cassiton Botanical Garden is one particular location within one of the watershed management units that would benefit mostly from some of these activities.
Work will also be done on 2 wetland ecosystems, Winds Morass in Trelawney and the Mason River Protected Area on the border of St. Ann and Clarendon.
And those activities would help with the overall preservation and conservation of those 2 wetland areas to stem or kind of address some of the challenges we are currently facing with issues of encroachment or solid waste deposits, and also the general sensitization through the use of signage and public education.
The project will also flow into the protection of Jamaica's marine life.
So the assessment of seagrass, the health and distribution of seagrass beds within the Ocherius Marine Park and the Helsha, Half Moon Bay area will also be assessed, so we can see if the activities implemented over the 5-year period would have helped with the health or the general health of the marine environment in these areas.
Don't waste water. Turn on your tap at half blast. Plant a tree, the more the better. Do not litter. Proper waste disposal prevents your garbage from getting into our rivers and streams. Be environmentally friendly. Get involved and help protect the earth. The work to protect our watersheds aligns with Jamaica's signatory to the Paris Agreement on Climate Change to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Equivalently, our Vision 2030 national plan also prioritizes balancing sustainable use of the environment and reducing poverty. Through climate-smart steps to better use the lands and the hills of our watersheds and reduce the degradation of our coastlines, the value of protecting Jamaica's watersheds today will pay the price for securing the future of the island.
If you're considering starting your own farm but aren't sure where to begin, we have a game plan for you. First, avoid planting too many crops at once.
Simple put, don't bite off more than you can chew.
You don't want to plant your crop and then struggle to care for and preserve it. Therefore, get in touch with your local extension officer, since they can give you the technical guidance you need to have a successful crop life. While your extension officer is on hand to help you through the process, you, the farmer, will have to bear some of the responsibility in the cultivation and the production of your crop, like having the proper land tenure, whether through leasing or ownership. Appropriate property access is key, and store your products properly, ensuring tools, pesticides, and fertilizers are kept in different areas. Also, there are several pertinent questions to ask yourself. Do you have the right equipment and the tools for the purpose of cultivation? What about cash flow to take care of the crop from planting to harvesting? Okay, that's covered. Do you have access to labor, proper restroom, and first aid facilities for your workers?
For the new farmers who have not started planters in, we are encouraging you to get registered at our RADA offices and get on board because we need your input.
We all need this to survive, and like water, this too is being impacted by a changing climate. So as we look forward to a new year, we must begin to think smarter about our food production.
With a degree of increasing urgency on our actions to combat fast rising temperatures and slow sea levels eroding closer inland, what we do about climate change today will matter. The effects of climate change are far-reaching, and food security is one of the areas affected. As protecting our food security remains a high-level priority, climate-smart agriculture takes on increasing importance. This way of harvesting food uses better farming practices to reduce its contributions to greenhouse gas emissions, while increasing production output. Smart agricultural practices include reducing deforestation, better soil management, and intercropping. Climate-smart agriculture practices are intended to achieve three major outcomes. 1. Increased productivity. More food is needed to feed the global population as it continues to grow exponentially. Equally important is ensuring sustainable incomes for farmers, distributors, and key players driving the agriculture industry. Data from the World Bank indicates that 75% of the world's poor who live in rural areas rely on agriculture for their livelihoods. Number 2. Resilience to climate change threats. Increasing severe weather conditions caused by a warmer Earth means more drastic impact on agriculture output. To prevent this from happening, farmers can implement these practices, changing crops and livestock to ones better suited to the climate, and using technology to develop resistant variations of foods such as rice and bean plants. 3. Reduce greenhouse gas emissions, caused by farming inputs such as fertilizers. Sharply reducing the use of fertilizers that produce gases such as carbon dioxide and nitrogen through crop rotation practices is one green-checked option. To truly practice proper climate-smart techniques, the dialogue must be tailored to the different climate experiences across the world. In Jamaica's context, areas of major concern include the island's vulnerability to hurricanes, flooding, and droughts. The government has been implementing several programs at the community and national levels in partnership with regional and international agencies. The mission is to build climate resilience in Jamaica's agriculture sector.
We are investing $230,000 US in partnership with the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, for a pilot program on climate resilience, on the expansion and upgrading of seed storage facility at the Bodles Research Station. This is important. This facility is going to house the best quality seeds, including our own seed source from locally developed and indigenous landrace types for vegetables, cover crops, field crops, and legumes.
The Bodles Research Station is just one aspect of Jamaica's strategic plan to ensure sustainable crop production through proper seed storage. Planting crops conducive to the rainy and dry season is another climate-resilient food security measure.
Our goal is to encourage our farmers to plant more, but not just to plant more. We want to plant the heat and drought-tolerant varieties of crops, such as cassava, which are more suitable for our climate.
In the fisheries sector, several fish sanctuaries have been declared and fish farmers trained. Meanwhile, the Jamaica Forage Club recently partnered with the United Nations Development Programme UNDP to train 600 youth farmers and fishers on how to utilize agriculture practices that will withstand climate change and how to recover quickly from its impact. The 6-month pilot project will run from September 2022 to February 2023. A major part of implementing smarter farming practices is the collaboration of all partners involved in this sector. As more information emerges, followed by more robust action on climate change policies from countries across the globe, the agriculture sector will be in a better position to meet the food production demand.
We are in a race against time, to reverse the effects of climate change by one simple action which has positive and enduring effects. That's right, plant a tree, leave a lasting legacy. Join the My Tree Legacy promotion by planting a tree at your alma mater and share your work with us. Submit videos and pictures of you, your family, your friends, and colleagues planting trees. Every tree counts. Plant a tree today and keep climate change away.
Strengthening and advancing Jamaica's mission for sustainable development, the government enabled several policies and pieces of legislation in 2022. First on our list, climate change and emissions policy frameworks. Jamaica has updated this policy to reflect its commitment to strengthen the country's response to climate change. Second on our list, strengthening international partnerships. In May, the Ministry of Finance received a grant of 16.7 million euros to fund climate change and forest management issues. Third, Jamaica's systematic risk assessment tool. This tool, which was launched in May, is used to identify major hotspots across the country that are most vulnerable to climate risk. The geospatial analysis platform for infrastructure risk assessment and resilient investment prioritization was developed in partnership with the government of the United Kingdom. Fourth, National School Tree Planting Competition. The competition aims to encourage greater youth participation in the National Tree Planting Initiative aimed at planting 3 million trees. The competition is open to students at the early childhood, primary, secondary, and tertiary levels. As the world continues to combat climate change, the government remains focused on ensuring the protection of Jamaica's natural environment. This is in keeping with the vision to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
To deal with crime and violence, we must be united. Please cooperate with the security forces. Call 311-119 or the JDF tip line. If you know something and you not talk, you're a part of the problem.
Have an illegal gun or know someone who does? The gun amnesty program begins November 5 to 19. Surrender the guns to the nearest police station, the FLA, or a lawyer. Your identity will be protected.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
You too can play your part in protecting our environment by properly disposing your garbage, planting trees, and of course, reduce, reuse, and recycle water. You can find more content like this on our website at jis.gov.jm. Also, send us your feedback about today's show or any of our programs by emailing Jamaica Magazine@jis.gov.jm. Be sure to join us again tomorrow when we bring you another informative program. And on behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.